All right, picture this. You're looking at an X-ray, and you see it. That little dark line around the tooth, the PDL space, it's just a bit wider than you'd expect. So, the big question is it nothing to worry about, or is it a clue to a much bigger mystery? Let's put on our detective hats and dive right in. So, there it is on the radiograph. You see that widened space. And the question is simple. Is this just a normal little quirk, or is it a warning sign of something more serious going on? That is the exact question we're going to solve together today. And we're going to start by looking at the most common and, frankly, the simplest explanations.
You know, every good detective first rules out the obvious. So before we jump to any wild conclusions, let's take a look at our usual suspects. These are the completely normal physiological reasons why a PDL space might look just a little bit wider than usual. And what's really interesting here is just how simple and, well, normal these causes are. A tooth that's actually being used for chewing. It's constantly remodeling. A brand new tooth that's erupting? Of course its fibers are going to be stretched. And hey, during pregnancy, hormones can cause a little bit of loosening. All of this is totally normal. No reason to panic here.
Okay, so we've ruled out the simple stuff, but what if it's none of those, and that PDL is still wide? Well, now we're heading into more serious territory. It's time to investigate the real culprits, the pathological perpetrators. Our first group of suspects, we can call them the pressure cookers. And that's because these are all conditions where way too much force or pressure is being put on the tooth, causing that PDL to literally get crushed and remodel itself in response. Okay, let's look at this closely, because the details matter. Primary occlusal trauma, that's when you have too much force on perfectly healthy gums. Secondary trauma is when you have normal force, but it's hitting already weakened, compromised gums. Either way, the PDL widens. Then you've got bruxism, that constant grinding, which puts a heavy load on things. And of course, orthodontic movement. That's basically just planned trauma to get teeth to move where we want them. Now this slide, this is pure gold for your exams. Seriously, commit this to memory. Whenever you spot a widened PDL on an X-ray, and you see that angular vertical bone loss, and the lamina dura seems to have disappeared, your first thought should be trauma from occlusion. It's the classic diagnostic triad.
All right, let's move on to our next line of suspects. Let's call this group the inflammation crew. Now with these guys, the problem isn't too much force from the outside, it's infection and inflammation creating pressure from within the PDL space itself.
So the key word here is pressure. With something like apical periodontitis or an abscess, you've got pus and all this inflammatory fluid collecting, and it has to go somewhere. It physically destroys the PDL fibers and pushes the space wider. It's basically a battlefield down at the cellular level, and that widened space is the evidence left behind.
And now, we get to the most cunning culprits of all, the inside jobs. These are systemic diseases where the root of the problem isn't actually in the tooth or the gums, it's in the entire body. We just happen to see the evidence right there in the PDL space.
I mean, this is a pretty serious list. We've got osteosarcoma, hyperparathyroidism, Paget's disease. All of these can cause the PDL to widen. But hidden right here, among them, is a master suspect, one that every single dental student absolutely has to know how to spot. And here it is. Our number one suspect, scleroderma. Its signature move, its pathognomonic sign, and a question that comes up on exams all the time is this: uniform, generalized PDL widening. It's around all the teeth, it's widened pretty much equally, and, this is crucial, there are no other signs of decay or gum disease. You see this pattern? Scleroderma needs to be at the very top of your list. So we've talked about why the PDL space widens, but what about how it all happens? Who's the main character in this whole process? Let's zoom way in and meet the cellular hero of our story, the PDL fibroblast. At first glance, you might think they're cousins. I mean, the PDL fibroblast and the gingival fibroblast, they even come from the same place, neural crest cells. But believe me, there is a world of difference in what they do and how they behave. It's truly a tale of two very, very different cells. And this chart just lays out their differences so perfectly. Just look at the turnover rate for the PDL fibroblast. It says very high, but that is an understatement. We're talking about the fastest collagen turnover in the entire body. These cells are non-stop workaholics, constantly breaking down and rebuilding the ligament. That's what allows a tooth to adapt to all those forces. But that ridiculously high turnover rate isn't their only trick. Oh no, PDL fibroblasts have another superpower, and it's a function that gets asked about again and again and again in exams. They actually help generate the force that makes a tooth erupt out of the bone and into the mouth.
So how in the world do they do that? Well, there are a few leading theories. The most accepted one is called tractional force. Just imagine the fibroblast literally walking along collagen fibers and pulling the tooth up with it. It can also contract, kind of like a tiny muscle, or use that rapid remodeling ability to create a net upward push. It's a really incredible mechanism.
All right, let's do a final face-off. A quick revision. Origin, both from the ectomesenchyme, check. Turnover, PDL is the fastest in the body, period. Eruptive force, that's a yes for PDL, a big no for gingival. And key function, PDL supports the tooth and helps it erupt, while the gingival fibroblast just maintains the gum architecture. Simple, right?
Okay, we've solved the mystery of the widened PDL, and we've met our cellular hero. Now for the most important part, what are the final, absolutely critical clues you need to take away from all this for your exams? Here they are, the two most high-yield can't-miss facts from this whole topic. Number 1, scleroderma causes that uniform generalized PDL widening without any local reason. And number 2, PDL fibroblasts are the powerhouses that generate eruptive force mainly through that tractional mechanism. Nail these 2 points, and you'll be in great shape.
And let's just end with this thought. The PDL fibroblast, just one tiny type of cell, remodels collagen faster than any other cell in our entire body. Its hyperactivity is what keeps our teeth both stable and incredibly adaptable. So, what does the immense power of this one tiny cell tell us about the millions of other hidden dynamic processes that are constantly, quietly maintaining our health every single second? Pretty amazing to think about.